Kingdom OutKasts podcast is a platform for us to simply express our thoughts, opinions, and experiences concerning our faith and events around the world. We're here for your entertainment, encouragement, and edification of the body. We're humans like yourself and are not the final authority of views expressed. Only the Most High Yah is. Feel free to agree, disagree, edify, question, and comment however you're led to in the comments. We are many members of one body under Messiah and look forward to communing as a family with mutual respect. Shalom and enjoy the pod. Kingdom OutKasts. Welcome to another episode of Kingdom OutKasts podcast. We're on episode
6.
Yeah, 6.
Episode 6.
And I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm Deja.
Elijah, Eliyahu,
Alayaha, whatever Hebrew you want to go with, or the English. And we're here with another episode. So, what's going on, y'all? How y'all feeling today? What's popping?
Another beautiful day on this magnificent place we call Earth. Mm-hmm. So grateful to be here with you all.
On this ultralight beam.
On this ultralight beam.
Oh my gosh.
All praise be to the Most High.
How was your week, Elijah?
It was a grind. This week was a grind, I tell you. I worked a lot. I worked outside of work. But it all works together. It all blends perfectly, baby.
Did you get your check on Friday or what? That's this Friday.
Nah, I get paid every day.
Okay.
Actually, I actually get paid every day. But the big checks come every other Friday.
I like that.
Yeah. How y'all living?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's been super nice out. I went to my park yesterday. This week I went to Wednesday night
It was
church.
a festival out there, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was ratchet.
There was a lot of festivals this weekend.
It was like a brunch something or other. And people were out there with orange and champagne colored outfits. And I was
Oh,
like, wow,
the streets were
out.
calling.
Yeah, the streets were
No
calling.
wonder I felt like I wanted to be
You
outside.
just had no idea why. So yeah, I went to Wednesday night, school of Hebrews, and on Shabbat, we went to Boom. And yeah, I had a really good week. It wasn't a pay week for me, so this upcoming Friday, check will drop, and it'll be even better.
But shoot, yeah, my week was good, man. Yeah, a lot of work. It's it's getting warm outside, so this is where people think they got the time to get their summer body right. It's starting just now.
So they're putting your line.
Summer is here.
You know what I mean? So, I need a month to get right. Okay, cool. We go see. Let's see how well you follow some nutrition guidance. But yeah, just been really busy there. I'm a little tired now, a little lack of sleep, but I'm still good. And yeah, man, School of Hebrews was good. Shabbat yesterday was nice. It was really nice. I really wanted to be outside. The streets was calling, but I didn't have a plan, so it was what it was. And I didn't even know what was going on. A lot of festivals and food festivals and music festivals going on, like Marietta, and I think in Piedmont, like she said. Like, saw people from high school posting that they was out there in Piedmont too. But yeah, so it's been a good week. Summer boy in the hospital, that was good.
How's he doing?
Yeah. He's doing pretty good. Yeah, all things considered, he's fighting against kind of the depressive state of not being where he's at. He's speaking like a lot of some of his experiences are showing him that the Most High hand is on him. So I feel like that's the most important thing. You know what I mean? You can tell he wants to come out of this situation a better man. And, so yeah, man.
It's all about this
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You have clients that when they first hit you up, they're like, "Hey, listen, I need to lose 15 pounds in 30 days or something like that." Or is that how people reach out to you? Or
My thing is okay, that's actually possible.
oh, okay.
But people sometimes don't be realistic with their discipline level.
Okay.
15 pounds in 30 days. That doesn't sound healthy.
I've done 9 in a week, personally.
Wow.
It really depends on your discipline level. Like, are you willing to cut carbs mad hard, exercise, or do this certain thing nutritionally? Like, there's multiple ways to lose body fat, depending on your body/blood type. But some people do come with unrealistic goals, like, yeah, I want to lose 30 pounds in 1 month. Like, okay, 20 at the most, maybe.
Yeah.
If you was really disciplined, but for most people, I'll be like, look, give yourself a couple of months. If you don't think your discipline with nutrition is there and exercising outside of our sessions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Discipline is key for a lot of things. I mean, I have all clients that come to me, they'll be like, hey, I need to eliminate like 50K worth of debt. Let's put a plan together. I'm like, we can put a plan together. But are you gonna have that?
Noodles every day.
No, literally, are you gonna have the discipline to execute this plan?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's where everything it boils down to discipline.
Not frivolous to spend, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I think consumerism has dropped over the last couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
But, you know, I tell you, man.
Because of inflation.
Yeah, like, you know, like just buying like clothes and things like that. I mean, people are still materialistic, but but food gets me.
Food, yeah.
I spend money on food, man.
Yeah. I think after that stimulus was put into the economy, like mid-COVID, that's when like consumerism was at its probably peak, when people was like, oh, I'll just spend this, you know?
Yeah.
And then after that, it just dropped. And in regards to like goods that are like not valuable, food is like, you need food.
Yeah.
You need good food. You don't need, you know, the new Dior slides or sneakers. You know what I mean? You don't need them. It's more of a want.
Yeah, exactly. And if y'all knew what some of the names of these companies or brands, or where they get the designs from, African tribes, I think twice about getting these brands with white names on them. But let me not even go to that rabbit hole right now.
Okay. So are y'all ready to discuss the precept of the week?
Yeah, man, what you got?
Let's get into it. Precept of the week.
Prophet Eliyahu coming through.
Here we go. We are coming from the book of the Nastarim, chapter 15, page 120, verse 9.
We'll do this for him real quick. Explain to him what is a Nazarene or Nazarene.
Why don't you take that?
Aren't you reading the book, Eliyahu?
So just see so what's the verse? I believe it's in Acts where it talks about Paul is the ringleader of the Nazarene or the Nazarenes. Let me see real quick. Nazarene. He said, let me go ahead and take that over.
Oh, listen here. I just found it on my favorite Bible search. The Nazarim are a religious sect that mixes biblical truth with the Torah, the Jewish festivals, and the philosophies of men.
You know what? But they're going to, they're going to give their perspective and not really tell like the truth, you know, of who the Nazarene. Like here's a verse right here in Acts 26. You know, Acts 26, 28. And Agrippa said unto Paul, you almost persuade me to be a Nazarene or a Nazarene, right?
Mm-hmm.
Paul was considered the ringleader of the Nazarene. But basically, the Nazarene were the first followers of the Messiah.
Also observing the Torah.
Yeah, and I mean, which the Messiah preached, you know what I mean? They believed in faith through Yeshua, right? And because of their love and faith in Yeshua and him placing the Torah on their hearts, like the word says, they also fulfilled the Torah. And so they were the real ones walking in the truth, in the way. But we know over time we lost our traditions and understanding that the Torah is still meant to be followed, even in our faith.
Mm-hmm.
And so the book of the Nazarene, just like Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, are some of the same and similar accounts of the Messiah written from different perspectives. The book of the Nazarene is literally Nazarene from his day and Celtics writing about their experiences with the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a lot of the same instances, the same conversations, but from like more elaborated, and you see some of the deeper things he was teaching the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
He was teaching the disciples that aren't talked about in the Gospels.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot more parables, a lot more sayings, and of course insight on John the Baptizer, or Yachanan the Baptizer, when he was a kid, he's growing up. So
Yeah, a lot deeper teachings from the Messiah, and we should include this one. I think it's good.
How you feel about
Like as you're just reading this, like gotquestions.org, their understanding the Nazarene, I feel like it's a little bit on key, so we'll provide the link.
it? Yeah. I feel some way about that site. Sometimes they be accurate,
sometimes
but they
it's
come
like,
from a super Christian perspective sometimes.
for sure.
But some stuff be,
Sometimes it's accurate. Sometimes I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take this with a grain of salt. I'm gonna go back to the word and come from my own perspective here. But it's like, all right, too Christian here. But were you asking something? Or
how do you feel about the book so far? Just so they can get a little understanding about it,
It's like I think I've said this in prior episodes, but like it's creating a deeper appreciation, love, and desire to get to know the Messiah and what he preached and taught us and how to live, just to a whole nother level. Many of the parables, they are in the Gospels, but there's also a few other like situations and wise sayings and teachings that Yeshua goes over that are like, wow, why wasn't this included throughout the Gospels? And it kind of makes sense. Just the world wouldn't be able to contain all the teachings that Jesus had given. So that's just kind of where I'm at with it. But like I'm on like I think page 140 out of like 200. So
nice.
slowly starting to come to where they talk about the real persecution and stuff. So that Yeshua faced. So that's what I'm interested to get into. But just been taking my time. But
actually, do you remember when shout out to Bishop, William Brown of Boom, believes in one Messiah. But remember he was talking about, the believers that were, I believe it was this past Shabbat, but he was talking about the believers that were persecuted and killed during that time in history that were not talked about from the time of the Rome conquering Jerusalem to, the slavery and stuff, and how we need to understand that history and church fathers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Well, the Nazarene are those Israelites that believed the Messiah that became alienated by the Israelites of the day and the Romans where they didn't have that protection over under Rome anymore.
Yeah.
Because the Israelites who rejected Messiah were excommunicating them because they believe in Messiah but fought the Torah. So they looked at them as
creating a new religion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the Nazarene are those true believers of the way, in which a lot of we descend from some of those Nazarene. If you know about the Israelites taken Spain and Portugal, like the tribe of Judah and them. And,
The Moranos.
Yep. So definitely important to know about the Nazarene. If we were to call ourselves anything, which we don't need to, Nazarene or Nazarene would be like the ancient appropriate title.
Yeah, it's very fitting. It's like Messianic believers in the way that observe the Torah.
Yeah.
That pretty much covers
And if
our
you know
perspective on belief.
Yeah, and if you know your tribe, you can throw that in there too, right?
Yeah, drop a comment.
The name starts getting a little lengthy at that point.
Yeah. I'm Tribe of Asher of the Nazarene that believes in Messiah. You gotta explain people like
elevator
what
speech.
Mean.
That's an elevator speech right there. All right. So what precept are we looking at from the book today?
Taking up your cross. And this is referenced, I believe, Matthew 16 in that chapter. Taking up your cross, where Yeshua mentions taking up your cross. But he also mentions it in the book of the Nazarene. Verse 9, chapter 15, verse 9. Yahusha answered, I must bear the cross of life, and on me it lies more heavily than on others. Each must do whatever he may be called upon to do. And great causes demand great deeds and sacrifices. Then he said to Kepha, who is Peter, do not be so blinded by worldliness that you cannot believe the Ruach can rise above the claims of the flesh. If you are, then it will be better for you to come no further. To the others he said, do not view these things as men do, but see them through the eyes of Yahuwah. Coming to a village, Yahusha ate while a small crowd gathered. And there he addressed the people, saying, if any of you intend to become followers of mine, You must put aside any thoughts of self and carry your own burden of suffering without complaint. If a man worries too much about his own safety and comfort, he gains nothing. But if he sacrifices these for the sake of my cause, he will not lose. What profit can a man make by gaining all that the world has to offer in exchange for the welfare of his own soul? What can he take from his gains to buy back what has been lost? Therefore, take care, for I give fair warning. If anyone in this adulterous and depraved generation choose to ignore my teachings, that person may find himself ignored when seeking entry into the state of glory. I can also tell you that some are here who will realize the nature of heaven before undergoing the experience of death. Wow. What do you guys think about that?
That was loaded. The first things that come to mind for me are long suffering, self-sacrifice, and what it means to take up your cross daily. And so the Messiah, he just makes mention that that's an individual journey. So what does that look like? What that looks like for you might not be what that looks like for me. I believe some people their destiny, even in the way and even following the Messiah, they are to live a very cushy, comfortable life and have very successful business. And then there's some who's meant to walk in minimalism and be like genuinely willing to give up everything they have and live on only what they need for the purposes of spreading the word of the kingdom and to travel around. So like I get excited when I get to talk about what it means to take up my cross on a daily, because I feel as though as I grow in my faith, the definition kind of changes. So at first it's like the small things, like, okay, I'm going to be willing to fast often, give up these kind of foods. That's small. I'm going to be willing to give up certain holidays. Okay, I'm getting there a little bit. But to get to a point where it's like, no, my belief and my faith is the number one thing in my life and nothing comes before that. And so I'm going to make a point to be completely set apart from everything I've ever known, and I don't care how uncomfortable it is. I want to experience long suffering. That's where I'm growing and maturing into.
I feel that. Just taking up my cross for me, is a lot. It has to do a lot with standing for the Most High. No matter who wants to cross you out of their life for that, you know what I mean? So it's really just a thing of like, bearing the cross with him and standing for the truth, regardless of other people who are going to shame you for it, and that's what happened. As we take up our cross, we get crossed out in a way in the eyes of others, in a sense, right? And so that's what it's like to me. I think of the three Hebrew boys, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. When they in a sense, took up their cross in a way, right, with not bowing down to the what would be known as an obelisk today, in Babylon, and they got thrown in the fire for it. They were standing for the Most High. Stephen, the first martyr in the New Testament, right, taking up his cross for the word. The disciples constantly thrown into jail, beat, and eventually killed, taking up their cross. So I think of those situations, and can you bear the cross? Can you bear the weight, the ostracization, the punishment on the physical body that will come, from bearing the cross with the Messiah? So yeah. So anyway, anybody else got anything on that?
What does it mean to you?
I was gonna say, like, you guys both hit it very well. My perspective on it is Yeshua says, if any man, any woman comes after me, they're gonna have to first off, come after me, follow me, be a disciple of me. I think about the term disciple, which stems from just a disciplined one, in following Yeshua, the Torah, and just God's way. But it's all part of the process of, dying to ourselves, and realizing that we have to be disciplined each and every day. Like how you were talking about, like like when you first start off and you're walking in your faith, it's the little things, like maybe not eating pork.
No pepperoni pizza.
No pepperoni pizza,
Oh,
or
man.
no shrimp, or like
Look at his heart wrenching.
or like or like fasting once a week or something like that, or like taking time to read your word. It's the little things, and then eventually it starts to become bigger things, because God knows that you can stand for His word. Like like maybe having to lose some friends, or like maybe not doing the things that you used to do in the world. Those are the types of things I think about when taking up our cross and following after the Messiah and being more like Him. All to the reality of potentially being persecuted for your faith and how you're living your life, because it's going to take a lot of stamina, a lot of endurance, a lot of built up discipline to be able to stand at the face of at the face of death, at the face of not having the love of your parents, or like your friends and stuff. So it's just starting to take up your cross little by little, and just keep striving for perfection, and you're trying to be more like Yeshua and how he walked. So
I think the one thing I thought was kind of a little humorous is like, of course we all know like Al-Shah is like very intense, but he's like, if any man is concerned for like the safety of his life, basically like, I'm leaving you behind. Like you should not be worried about your safety. Like you should be willing to die.
Yeah.
And so I mean most of the Subarus out there, like this one over here, they're pretty not worried about the safety of their life whatsoever. Actually.
I mean, I ain't gonna say that, but it's just, hey man, when you sometimes feel that passion and zeal, like that's where like you just gotta accrue more wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you just kind of bust down doors, but
you're just not sitting at home just, I'm scared. Like
nah, I got peace, man. But
Power.
hey man, get them. Hey, I be prepared for anything at the end of the day. That's me. So.
Wait, you on go?
But
let's get into that. Our Hebrew word.
And so in getting into that, so there's also of course a known debate on is the cross pagan or if it's not, right? And this is my opinion based off of my studies, or it could be considered fact based off of studies, but agree or disagree. But there's of course a debate if the Messiah really died on a stake, right, or if he died on the cross. Actually, what you'll find in older definitions, the cross, the Greek word for storos was a stake or upright pole, right? So many people do believe the Messiah was actually crucified on this, and that older versions of the word would have said stake, right? But if you look at Strong's Concordance today, you'll see that cross is actually, the word cross is used as storos. And let me read it here. So yeah, cross, an upright stake, or a cross, the Roman crucifixion cross, right? So Storos 47:16, Strong's Concordance for Greek, an upright stake or a cross. So it could be either or, right? Now, if you look into the Hebrew language, right, or the Hebrew word, I couldn't necessarily find an exact word for cross in the Hebrew language, but what you're able to find here is a similar a bar, which means to pass over, through, or pass by, or on. Other things it also means is alter, to alienate at all, beyond, bring over, to carry over or overcome on. Things that kind of, relate to what, the cross or the cross sticks, as in the X, mean. So there's a difference between the X and the T of the Roman of the Romans.
Well,
I'm gonna.
I have a question.
What's up?
So how does this correlate, like, kind of tie into the concept that he was crucified on a tree?
So a stake or a cross both would have been made out of a tree. Both of them made out of wood. So we know either or is a tree, but there is debate of whether it was on a stake or on a cross, right? But if we're looking at the ancient Semitic Hebrew, Taw, T-A-W, is a letter, and it means the picture are crossed sticks, so like an X, right? It means mark, sign, signal, monument. Some believe this is what the Israelites would have marked over their door on Passover, a sign, right? Or Tav in modern Hebrew, T-A-V, right? Actually, researchers also say that the Hebrews would have been moving in the shape of a Tav, X across the desert floor, right? But the research shows that the cross of Tammuz, the elongated cross, that was a pagan symbol, and then later adopted by the Roman Church. So we know, like, Hashatan likes to corrupt everything, right?
Yeah.
So with kind of our ignorance of the Hebrew language, we might get the X, which means marker, sign, mixed up with cross. This is why I don't wear crosses anymore, personally. From my research, the cross symbol does come from, Tammuz and Rome, and it's a pagan symbol. But I do understand the X or Ta sign, that actually had more to do with the Hebrew personally. But what do y'all think, with that stuff?
Well, I try to stay away from any symbolisms when it comes to the Messiah. So it wouldn't be for me to necessarily wear a cross or hang a cross in my house. The places of worship where I go, we don't have a cross as a sign of reverence where the pastor is teaching or anything. It's just not, we just don't carry that symbolism, and so I kind of understand why. But I do believe that he was crucified, in whether the form was with his hands, together, or if his hands crossed like this in a T. But I don't feel like there's any benefit in getting into like all the semantics and possible implications behind that. So I just try to stay away from symbolism, and just instead of having a sign on my body, I don't need a sign on my body. I have the sign in my heart, in my mind.
Yeah, I think it's an image that the enemy has used to, I think, kind of dilute the power of the Messiah. I think I think there's the symbolism behind the cross has just been used to promote a westernized Christianity. And I think that there's other symbols besides the cross. I think that that fish one too. I think that one was used, just incorrectly. And my thinking is, in regards to it, is, I think Ishan Burgundy, shout out to Ishan Burgundy, who just dropped the deluxe Lost Sheep album. But he has one of these, in one of his songs, he talks about us wearing crosses as jewelry, and how a severed head is used to show defeat. You know what I mean? You see so many a Jesus piece. So many people.
I never thought about that.
It's like
that's what Jesus piece is. It's just a head.
Yeah, it's just a head
hanging on a
even
chain.
Even just a
so
cross
that's disrespectful.
too. Yeah. So I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I never owned like any like crosses, necklaces, or anything like that. But I never really thought about it until probably like last year, thinking about the symbolism of the cross. And I've heard pastors like Darby mention like he was like he died like with his hands up like that and not like spread out. And when I read it in the Word, it's like they typically refer to it as a tree or even like as a cross. But then we don't understand, what is the actual cross? Is it what's been promoted, or is it, just a stake?
And what was that? Was the translation even accurate, or what it was supposed to be? Or certain things changed?
Yeah.
Especially with the KJV,
Yeah. So I try not to get into the symbolism. I just think about like that my Lord and Savior died for me.
Right.
He gave his life for me, and
well, I definitely agree. I mean, I definitely understand the not wanting to get into it. Y'all know me. I like.
I haven't studied it enough.
Yeah. No, I feel you.
Yeah.
For me personally, right? It's important because if I don't know this stuff, then I might still ignorantly wear a cross, right? I might still would be wearing idols or have things and statues and stuff in my house that don't represent the Messiah, which will also lump me in with a false religion or false organization, and I want to be set apart as much as possible personally.
Right.
So for me, that's why it's important to understand. And then, of course, learn about the Hebrew language and the letters. You learn the real meaning behind things. When you learn that, then it's like, well, how in the world do we get these definitions that the world gives us? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I just like knowing that stuff. The only symbol the Messiah ever gave Yahshua was the menorah, and whether y'all feel aware about, earrings and all that, I haven't gotten to that studying. And when the Most High convicts me on it, can, but I only wear a menorah, you know what I mean? And that's what represents the kingdom, or Yasharon, upright Yasharal. So, that's personally kind of where I'm at with it. But yeah.
You see how easy it is to fall into the sin of idolatry.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah, most definitely. It is. So, people, it's powerful. This and stuff that comes with that.
Yeah. Symbolism, imagery is very powerful. And with broadcasting, television getting so popular over the past 80 years, now we got the internet, we got these phones, everything. We're just bombarded with images, and like images stick. They stick in your mind, whether it's on the phone or whether it's in person. So just be mindful of that.
Yo, really, you could be having certain dreams, seeing certain things, having certain experiences because of the idol you have in your crib. Or the tattoo that you have of a creature or something, and you never prayed or repented over that. I don't think we understand how close the spiritual realm is to images and the origin of those images. That's where certain spirits are just stuck to people or groups. For real.
Yeah. That's deep.
Yeah, it hurt me, but I had a really cool Alien versus Predator, statue made out of fish bone in my crib.
Oh wow.
Yeah, not a big statue, but it was I threw it away, man. I threw it away because at the end of the day, that is a graven image. It's not even a painting or a drawing. It's technically a graven image. And it's of monsters, aliens. And when you get into what Alien vs. Predator has a lot of symbology and stuff. Fallen angels and things like that. So, yeah.
Juicy.
Understand.
Burn your idols, people.
Burn your idols. Eshawn Burgundy.
Okay, so I want to share an article, a current event that's going on. And so this article is coming from Yahoo, Fox News, and it says, new UN-backed legal recommendations to normalize sex with minors. Outraged critics say. And so it goes to say, a shocking report issued by the international legal experts with the backing of the United Nations appears to open the floodgates to normalize sex with minors. The quote is, sexual conduct involving persons below the domestically prescribed minimum age of consent to sex may be consensual in fact, if not in law. So they're going on to say that they want to make changes to the age of consent and to decriminalize sexual acts with persons below that age. And I want to discuss this matter because this is one of those things that seemingly everyone can see where this is wrong, where this is criminal, and this could be used for predatory purposes and abuse. And yet, somehow, the United Nations has come into a level of agreement about why they could overturn this. How is that possible? How can the leaders of this world look at this and say that this will somehow be a benefit to the population?
I don't know. That's some foolishness. It's all part of the agenda. But I can't blame it all on that. It's really just people wanting to fulfill their lust and give okays for demons just to act out through people and harming children. It's really sick. It really pisses me off because, as an older brother, like, I try to be relatively like protective. My sisters are of age now, but like, it's like children are the most defenseless, and for them to even be considering lowering the age of consent, or to be lowering even just what consent is, I'm like, Lord have mercy. Like, you think that we should be making these sorts of decisions? Like, okay, like, if you're gonna like, no, I don't know if I should even say that, but like, you're lowering ages of consent, and also just giving more way for old creepy old men or old creepy old women to have free reign over children, whether they're teenagers or not. You're not gonna allow for them to drink alcohol, or go buy alcohol, or like, even go to the military, or like even vote. So it's like things like that. It's like, oh, so this is purely a flesh-based decision that these legislators and world leaders are making, and it's just sick. It is really sick. And human trafficking has increased over these past few years. I mean, like, there's like 50,000 kids missing from the border, like,
yeah.
And it's like, now we see the United Nations okaying this, and this is not like some theory. Like, Yahoo News reported this.
Right.
Yahoo News is a reputable news site.
Right.
It may be a little fake news, but it's like, that is it's scary, and it's telling where we're going as a society, because basically all of the developed nations, all the top economies are associated with the United Nations.
Right.
So it's going to start there at the United Nations. They're going to start putting out legislation for their members. Then the members are going to have to adopt it. And it's just going to be this thing it's like, that we have to get used to. No, we shouldn't get used to kids having to, defend themselves against old-ass men or grown men and grown women. Like, that is sick. It's really sick.
I also want to say that in the United States, there are multiple states that child marriage is legal, which makes it basically a loophole. It loophole the age of consent, because it says, well, I didn't have sexual relations with someone's child. I married a wife who was below the age of consent, therefore I didn't break a law. And so for a long time, they were really pushing to change those laws here in the States. And they did. They got it overturned in some states, and they actually made some progress on this. And so this is kind of just a huge backslide to that, because there are like many people in power who have really fought to like give this freedom to individuals on the basis of marriage or on the basis of such and such. And that's, of course, we know this goes on in a lot of those like Islamic states and things like that. They don't protect children. They don't protect women, young women or girls, for that very reason. They say it's on the basis of marriage.
Yeah.
And in the comments, I read some of these comments on this article.
Mhm.
Most people were saying, this is disturbing, this is scary, we need to do something about this. But there were some who were saying, well, they probably created this law because everyone knows that teenagers sleep with one another. So they probably did this so that you couldn't criminalize a 15-year-old for sleeping with a 13-year-old. But that's like a small, I feel as though those issues in those cases where it can get, the line can get blurred between young teenagers with one another consensually, that's a very small portion of like the greater problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think that a 15-year-old should be jailed for consensually participating in a sexual act with a 13 or 14-year-old because those individuals are close in age with one another.
Right.
But I don't think they're throwing a bunch of kids in juvie for that anyway. So this is not what that's for.
Yeah. I just want to mention this real quick, and I'll include the link to this. But states across the country are attempting to weaken child labor protections, and I just want to throw that out because as they're trying to weaken these child labor protections and stuff like that, you got to think about what jobs can be available for everybody. I'm not trying to say that like they're trying to directly allow for child prostitution, but if you weaken labor protections and laws and you got, children who are 12 to 16 that have been kidnapped or like, you don't have any identity on them,
they could be subject to
more trafficking. And it's just opening the floodgate, and I think it's not good at all. It's not good.
Yeah, it's all Moloch worship at the end of the day. One thing, a lot of people, it's really hard for them to believe how many people are even off into this this pedophilia, or what they want to start labeling minor attractive persons, which is how they're just gonna, normalize junk. But that people don't, it's hard for people to realize how many people in power are even a part of this, or governments, organizations. But this has been going on since Mesopotamia, since since close to the beginning of the world. Ancient Babylon, Mesopotamia, Egypt, Rome, Greece. I mean, what do you think Saturnalia was? Right?
What does that mean?
It was either Saturnalia was either Valentine's Day or Christmas in Rome. But basically, it was all about illicit sex with any and everything, and. But back in the day, child sacrifice, with the occultic organizations and their deeper knowledge, they believe like having sex with boys is some type of fountain of youth. You know what I mean? Sex magic comes from Aleister Crowley, 33rd degree Mason. And so it's a thing where it's like this stuff has been going on. It's the biggest industry that's been going on for forever. It's deity worship, and it's abominable. And you shall not, Leviticus 18:21. You shall not let any of your seed pass to Molech. Neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Ahad. Like child sacrifice and pedophilia. This all has to do with ancient Moloch or Baal worship. And it's engraved into our society, man. It's really engraved into our society. We were talking about certain places decriminalize things. Like Spain, was definitely one of those places that was. I can't find an article, but I'll put it up here if I can find it. But they were softening even bestiality laws. You know what I mean? And so, if y'all remember us talking about the image of the Baphomet, pretty much our world is really going towards this way where there's literally no boundaries for anything. No boundaries. So we got to protect the kids, we got to protect ourselves.
That is lawlessness. That's literally the worst form of lawlessness.
Yeah. What do you think Sodom and Gomorrah got burnt up for?
They were out here trying to rape the angels.
Right. Yeah, man.
They were out there trying to rape angels.
Like they had beds in the street.
Yeah.
Like, bruh, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And you know, people have the audacity to be like, that is the most homophobic, you know, story in the Bible. Why would God burn a city for simple people just simply having
It's
love?
not simply because it's
for gay.
It's
love.
worship to Moloch.
Yeah.
And Baal, like, and I don't think that, like, this recent explosion of the alphabet community ever since, you know what, the 80s, maybe the 70s with AIDS getting big and everything. Like, this is opening the door for all these other forms of sexual immorality to come through. Bestiality, pedophilia, all this, you know, all that.
I remember saying this like years ago, man. I might have been in high school, like, watch it. So if they let this go, then this is gonna come soon after. And when this comes soon after, and people like, no. Look at where we are, y'all. Look at where we are. You can literally look in hindsight and be like, bruh, we are about to really cross. And not only that, but think of how they're putting these books in schools, right? Teaching kids about, now sex education is one thing, but having books with pictures of naked kids teaching masturbation and stuff like that is another.
Yeah.
Like in libraries, they're also pruning these children. California is definitely one of the head states and taking more rights away from parents, right? Over their children, or even telling children, you don't have to tell your parents that what you're learning here. You know what I mean? Like, parents are in the dark, and some of them have been at these school board meetings, like, livid. You know? So to see, you know, this generation and how they're being pruned, the shows, the cartoons they're watching. These kids are going to grow up so different, man. I mean, man, and who knows what laws will be in place by the time they're in their teens and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That will keep us from being able to protect them.
So this is the importance of being set apart. This is the whole point. It's not just, oh, I really want to just be a part of a religion or religious behavior. No, it's literally for the safety of yourself and your future that you set yourself apart from the things of the world. Because the things of the world are only going to keep getting worse and going in one direction. So as believers, it's really time for us to get serious about our walk and living a righteous life and going in the opposite direction.
It's our culture, yo. Like it was broken down in School of Hebrews, right? Us as Israelites, we are teaching the world our culture that was given to us by the Most High, written by our ancestors. That stuff is the way of the Gentiles.
Right.
And a lot of people be like, well, what's the problem with knowing you're Israelite and why you got it? What's that important? No, it's not more important than accepting the Messiah, right? But understanding this is your lost religion, lost culture, while you're trying to be a Christian, but at the same time thinking you're a descendant of Egypt, and at the same time, like, seriously, people be like, yeah, I'm a Christian, but I like the Ankh, and I think we're Egyptian, and we gods and goddesses, and you know what I mean? It's like, yo, you got like 500 beliefs. Hey, know that you are the descendant of this book, and this is our culture that we are teaching the rest of the world. You know, like, this is literally our culture that we're teaching the rest of the world. And what's happening is we're following the ways of the Gentiles. All this stuff, this world stuff, this is the system, the Satan system that was given to the Gentiles. We're following the culture that our ancestors passed down from the Most High, that we're supposed to stand as this other world or this kingdom to come that's already in us, and teaching the world to integrate into that while this world goes, to burn soon. So, that's why a lot of this also always goes back to understanding who we are as a people, because it's not our way. Right. It's literally not our way. Right. Our ancestors messed up, trying to follow the ways of the rest of everybody. Right. But it isn't our culture, our way.
So, The recording, like, I think the microphone died
I didn't know it stopped.
because it just was flat.
Oh,
It was flat for like 20 minutes.
no.
Yeah. We could take a look. I don't know if we should like stop recording.
Where's the old one?
Right. I just, yeah.
It's like right after this. So up until 20 minutes it looks like. After
Okay,
that.
push play after that to see if it makes noise at all.
You know, like maybe having to lose some friends or like, maybe, not
You slide,
not
yeah.
doing the things that you used to do in the
Just
world.
like listen to it.
Those are the types of things I think about when taking up our cross and, following after the Messiah and being more like him. All to the
Like little humorous. It's like, of course, we all know like Shaw's like very intense.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with some of the camera audio, I guess.
Okay.
Okay.
So can we just continue this or we have to start this one
So
over?
we start with continue, I guess. So. I think.
Okay.
Our culture. Sorry guys.
All good.
Okay, so are y'all ready to talk about the topic?
All right, cool. Yeah, what's the topic?
So our topic this week is about being set apart. And so how does living a righteous, set apart life or being Kodesh, how does it affect relationships, dating, friendships, etc.?
Yeah.
Well, for me, being set apart is first I think just standing on Yah's word and just living it as it is the truth, and that it is like what God's word says on a topic is what it is. That's the final say. I struggle with it, but I had to get rid of my own. I had to get out of my own selfishness to have it my way. In certain scenarios, like with what I eat, or like in my past, relationships with women, even in some of my friendships and what I accept out of that friendship. It's like getting rid of my own selfish desire to think that I have it all figured out and that like the way that I want to live my life is the right way when the Most High says that this is the way, and to be set apart, this is the way that you do it. So it's affected my relationships, I believe, in a beneficial way because I've gotten closer with the Most High. Like I've learned how to exercise discernment a lot better. I've learned how to have more peace and self-control, and it's affected my relationship with the Most High better. I'll be honest, like it's saved me from continuing certain relationships and even forming like deeper relationships with people, because I was just sticking to the Most High's word on a specific subject. So that's how it's kind of affected my relationships in a sense. And with the dating, it's like I don't even look at it more of like I used to look at dating as like, all right, like let's make sure that they're beautiful, externally. But now I'm more focused on like internal beauty and like actually getting to know someone. Make sure that we're friends, of course, like, and we can get along that way. But like if this is gonna be the woman that I'm living the rest of my life with, like I don't want it to be purely based on sex. You know what I mean? Like my lust. And that's something like I've had to deal with in the past and I learned from in the past, but like just kind of looking to get to know people better, as well as like in a sense of, what's your relationship like with the Most High? What do you think about, this verse? What do you think about God's word and like how you're applying it to your life? That's how it's like really positively affected my relationships. And I've been able to form deeper relationships with people and talk to them more about and just have a clear understanding of what the purpose is of my life, and how I'm just becoming more set apart. That doesn't mean that I don't like fall short, of being set apart all the time, but it's something I'm striving for, and like continuing to like just study on and understand, like, really why God's word has like certain procedures in place. Like, it's so that we do not get, tormented by these demonic powers, or, that we don't have to deal with the consequences of sin. And it's just, I'm glad that the Most High has brought me to that realization, that I have to, like, it's not based in a religious pattern or procedure or thought. This is a culture. It's a way of life, and that's basically what the definition of a culture is. It's just a way of life, customs, traditions, and that's what the Holy Bible is. It's our culture, and as we live it out, and live according to the Torah, according to the Messiah's teachings, in loving ourselves and others, that's how you can become set apart. So it was a little ramble there, but
No, that was good. That was good.
what do you guys think about it?
I say the main difference between how I used to operate with people versus the truth is, so when it comes to my relationships with women, I've always been able to have platonic friendships, with women, but no, I was thought out in these streets. For a while. I first was able to start going outside in South Florida, the half-naked lifestyle state. So, Tinder was that, and then meeting people out, and it was a lot of just wasting time, wasting seed, wasting just self-worth, and still claiming to be somewhat of a Christian, right? And of course, moving back to Georgia, starting my own life, that was that too. And it's your typical story of you had your first girlfriend, in high school sometime, get your heart broke, and now you're a savage. You're like, yeah, now you're a savage for some years.
Yeah.
But with coming into the truth, you just learn, a lot more. And the thing about the difference between coming into the truth and just being in Christianity, I mean, you hear, things about worth and sexual immorality in the Christian church. But with really coming into the truth and really understanding who we are as a people and that we are the people of the book, it kind of gives you a lot more of like, man, like, I actually have this blood running through my veins, where I'm even more responsible than other people to be an example, of who the Messiah is. And so, just seeing the self-worth of women, more and treating them, even though I've always been chivalrous, right? But just treating them more in a way where it's like that's getting in the pants ain't the goal, you know what I mean? And understanding soul ties, a lot more. And I mean, look, man, when you're trying to get away from that type of habit and lifestyles, you really start to see the fight in your life. Incubus and succubus spirits coming at you in your sleep, or Lilith, certain dreams, and just all different type of situations, that'll happen, right?
Go lay down now. Go.
And this is why dogs leave their fathers.
Glory, you're embarrassing me. Go lay down now.
You should get a whipping, you know what I mean?
Okay, I'm gonna beat her right now on video.
Hey man, look,
email.
Sorry, our Caucasian audience. We grew up a little differently. Sparing out the rod.
Beat dogs and children.
No, but look, yeah, man. But it was just a thing of like, really learning the worth piece. Yeah. But guys, pretty much, pretty much treat them the same, except I don't spend as much time on idle talk.
You know, talking about things that don't matter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, talking about women or experiences in certain ways.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can talk about experiences, but it won't be the same tone,
Mm-hmm.
right? It won't be the same like kind of braggadocious or this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So conversation, in dynamics, boundaries. That's the main difference I'd say in my life.
Okay. For me, I think that coming into the truth wasn't enough. I don't think for me to really change my behavior. I had to get to a place where I wanted to get very serious about righteousness and that this is not a time to play with the Most High. I could have come into the truth and say like, oh wow, a light bulb has clicked and now I know that the people of the book are these people and I know that in order to honor the Most High I should make these changes. But in order for me to actually get out of sin and change my settings, it took more time. And so when I got to that place, it had some effect on friendships in a way where like I think some of my best and closest friendships, these are women around me mostly who decided to just meet me down where I'm at. So if I have a friend and we would normally like all the girls would get together, we'll go out and drink, we'll be like in sections, such and such, this and that. Now it's the friend who's like, hey, let's go work out, or let's go on a walk. Do you want to go do this? We're gonna let's read this book together. It may not be it may even be scripture based, but just they want to meet me where I'm at in a way where it's not that now we just have a different relationship. It's just that we just do different things together.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as dating, I think I always thought I would be okay if I just met a man that I really liked and he was just lukewarm, but I'm just really passionate about faith. It'll be fine because he can just be always lukewarm forever and hopefully I'll continue to grow in my faith. I was wrong though. I think that was a misconception. Now I think I would have to be in order for a relationship to be serious and meaningful and even consider getting to the level of marriage, we would have to both be completely on the same page about that. The lukewarm, he calls himself a Christian but doesn't live like a Christian, but just knows of the Bible, is not gonna fit with where I'm going. But I didn't want to admit that to myself. I was like, oh, there's already slim number of eligible black men that are straight and not in jail and don't have children and have doing okay for themselves. So I'm not gonna make that list even slimmer by saying that they must be of the same faith as me too.
Yeah,
but at the same time though,
Right.
I know the Most High has someone for me and he's not going to pair me with someone who is already lukewarm at Christianity, period. Just simply grew up as a Christian ever since they were a child, like most black people in America, and that's all. That's not going to fit. So I'm not even going down that road anymore.
Let me ask you, now we know a lot of men, I think men settle a good amount mostly because a lot of men choose to date down, right?
Do they?
No. I want you to think about this. A lot of men choose to date somebody a little bit younger.
Younger.
Somebody, if they could, somebody who doesn't make as much as them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that they feel that they can lead, right? Right. So I think a lot of men will even choose to not date somebody as spiritually strong or advanced or wherever they are on their level, right?
Yeah.
Because they feel like that they could teach and that there's a love submissiveness. Would you say in your dating that you're looking for a man that can lead you spiritually, or do you really just want y'all to be on the exact same page? Or where do you see that?
I definitely think they have to be able to lead me spiritually. So kind of like Elijah was saying, that seems to be the point of interest for me now.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm gonna have a conversation with them, I'm gonna probably first take notice to their level of intellect, and then I'm gonna want to understand where is their level of understanding for the word. If I feel as though they're not mature in that area, I don't think that they will be able to intrigue me mentally. And so then if I know I have to be mentally stimulated in that way. So I know that that's definitely something I'm looking for. but that kind of offsets the whole thing. So I think I'm gonna
You don't
go
want to
for
feel like you have to teach them.
no. I'm naturally going to be intrigued by someone who I feel knows more than me, because now I'm gonna want to have conversations and ask questions, be like, really, well, what do you think this means? And if I feel like their response is something of like some level of intelligence or something beyond what I know, that's gonna intrigue me. However, I'm not any longer just like looking at the money and like if they have like this type of career, or they like, if I own a home, then they need to own a mansion. If I have a car, they need to have a truck. Like, that's not really, I'm not on that anymore as much as I was in my younger 20s. I'm looking for the mental stimulation. I'm looking for the spiritual aspect. I want to know that they are very, very mature in their walk, and they're very zealous and serious in that way.
Look, feminists, we know your blood is boiling, but we love you too. This is good advice.
All love. 'Cause I mean, like, I feel like I kind of alluded to it earlier, but like the body, it fades away. You know what I mean? But your mind, that's what, you know. I feel like for me, there's a level of attractiveness to a woman that can actually like articulate themselves and also knows the word. But I fell into the trap of dealing with lukewarm women, and it always backfired on me. And I think, like, to answer your question, Brandon, like, I'm to a point where I think like I should be leading in the relationship, but I also don't want to be leading too much. You know, I don't want a project. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
you don't just drive the whole ship and
They
everything.
need at least the enthusiasm.
Yes, at least the enthusiasm. Meet me there, and I'm like, all right, great, we can go from there. But then the women I was dealing with were like, they just really weren't on fire. That's more so the enthusiasm. I don't mind if you don't know as much as me, but you know, if you're eager, if you're willing, you know, that's what I'm like. All right, I can work with that, but just the Most High showed me is like,
This ain't gonna work.
she ain't the one.
This ain't gonna work.
She ain't the one.
I would like to say that my set of life circumstances and everything that I've learned from the married couples and people in my family is that the women are always way more on fire for the word. They're at church every Sunday. Their husbands might be there because just so my wife's like, I don't see my wife's mouth, but I'd rather be home watching football. That's what I was always almost taught, that's normal for men. So when I came,
you see that pattern in church be full of women and
full of men, yeah, and it's not really a lot. It's not a lot of men. Even if the women are married, the men are they're just at home and they just do not want to be at church. And then coming into the truth, and after not going to really participate in any church for about 2 years, coming into the truth, finding School of Hebrews, finding Boom, there's actually seemingly more men who are very zealous for the word, and in those congregations they're maybe even single or they're without a wife, than there are women. It's almost backwards now.
That's what coming into the truth does. Sets
It
you on
just
fire.
changed everything.
Sets you on fire. No, I'm just
Like,
saying, like,
we don't have like a whole bunch of single black women at church, honestly.
A lot of churches really preach emotional. Like, people get in the emotions at church, and like, I feel like what attract more men is more that fire and brimstone and the seriousness and the be a man aspect of the word. Like, not enough of that is taught, because even the church culture is coddling or pandering to the feminine society. You can be a strong, but like the whole strong black independent kind of woman kind of thing that is even in the Christian church is damaging to trying to mix it with the word. And then that also does a lot. Like, I just feel like there's not enough catering to the male aspect. I mean, you know, if you want to be, you know, honest too, is like the word was written. There might have been parts written by women. I know there's stuff written about women, right? But it, you know, it was mostly written to men to teach. And of course, you did have women teachers. You know what I mean? But it's a thing where it's like, yeah, like it's not enough teaching in a way that really is gonna catch men and captivate them. It's a lot of emotion.
yeah.
Just emotion, you know, stuff being taught.
Because like, think about the group chat Telegram channel. Like, it's mostly men in there. There's women, but there's a lot more men that are on fire in this way and that are in the truth. want to tell a quick story. So I went to visit a church near, just local to like where I live. I literally could walk there from here. It's really close. It's a black church. The pastor is single, and he's maybe like in his early 30s. When I tell you, I never went back there again because as he was preaching the message and getting into the word, the single women of the church, which was a ton of them, and not very many men. It was a ton of single. They were about to rush the stage, literally.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh my goodness, I was scared for my life. I was like, I'm never coming back here. I don't even know. He was doing some sorcery on these ladies because they were literally about to rush the stage.
Oh my God.
As he was getting into like the meat of the message. And none of this was like, he was not just reading from the word like that.
Thinking about
This was
being
all his mouth,
impregnated
just
while
talking. He was just going in, and these ladies were up on their feet, running, jumping, and
He
screaming.
should have taken off from
They think about getting
Like-
impregnated by their pastor.
I was like, this is scaring me. I am never coming back here again.
I don't think I would start a ministry without being married, if I'm being honest.
He had never been married, but he talked a little bit about his bad experiences with women. So he had kind of negative things to say about women. But I mean, he had these ladies on fire. I mean, they were literally militant level, just like running and jumping. Like,
Yeah, I mean, you know, hey man, it's.
Yeah,
I hear
So,
that.
Who do you
like
think
the-
Steve Harvey? Who do you think Steve Harvey's audience is? You know, who do you think most of Jake's audience is? Who do you think like most of these mega preachers their audience is?
He messed up on that.
it's
Things like
women,
a man
you know?
book because that ain't even.
it's not accurate.
Now it's women can't think like men. Men can't think like women.
No,
Like,
it's not possible.
Stop it.
Yeah.
No, it's not possible.
We're wiring. Is
Mhm.
science toxic now? Since y'all want to die by science, like you know what I mean?
Science is misogynistic.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
No, but I would just ultimately, I would say, as far as like just being set apart and dating and friendships and everything, I feel a little bit better about some relationships that I've had with people that have been close to me for a time because I feel as though as I transition and I stop going certain places, stop doing certain things, our relationship is able to morph and change.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I've been single for a while, like, so it's not like I'm trying to morph a person to be along this journey with me. I've been fortunate enough to not have, I don't have to try to drag anybody along. I'd rather meet somebody who's going to be accommodating and fitting to my future self, higher version. Like, as I walk into the truth, I want somebody who's on that journey with me. I can't drag nobody along.
Watch them start ending up in the YouTube and the Instagram comments. Oh.
What's her
What's her
ad?
email?
What's her
Add
email?
me.
Oh my gosh.
Literally.
No, please don't email me.
We have
I
it.
got an attitude problem.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
But shoot. Guess alternative thoughts.
When to flee Babylon.
Yeah. Now we know we talked about this preparing for the second Exodus before, but
This is alternative to that.
yeah, alternative. Like we doing a 180. Like, yeah. When would it be appropriate to leave? Or what is the sign? Or what is that like? Or I don't know, what y'all think?
Well,
Or should I go first? You know.
I just briefly, because I don't have a lot to say on the topic, because I don't know. I don't know when to flee Babylon. I like to say that, but the bishop, on Saturday made reference to the fact that you could go over there and be in big trouble. Like, they don't have, there is no, like, nobody has got to help you. There's no, like, state funding. There's no this, there's no that. So if you go to move to another country because you are listening to what other people say, you may become stuck over there with no way to return to the States. You are subject to dying of starvation. Like, do not go over somewhere with nothing and just think, surely Yah is going to save me. Did Yah tell you to do that? Were you prayerful about this, or were you listening to what other people told you? That's where it gets sticky.
Sticky.
Yeah, nah, when she says subject to dying of starvation, don't think it's like a desert over in Africa. Like, what she means is if you can't sustain yourself here, then don't think you're going to be able to sustain yourself in another country that you know nothing about and probably didn't educate yourself on before going to. Nah, I feel you. I think it's just, if the Most High says it's time for you to. Like, that's really it. Don't leave in fear. Don't leave in, you know, for me, when I first visited Africa, I was on fire. to like, I need to get out of here. Why am I? And I still wake up like, why am I in this godforsaken country? Now, obviously, when I look at what's going on, especially with kids, in my mind, the smart move for me is when I have kids, me and my wife need to leave because I want to put them in the best environment to raise them. I don't want to have to worry about having to, like, homeschooling is cool, right?
Yeah.
But if I could put them in the school system and be around other kids, and I know that school system isn't teaching them bull, right? I'd rather be in an area that I could worry about that, where they go and instead of, you know, playing video games for fun, they literally go to the ocean and build boats.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, this is what the kids do over. And so for me, moving would be more about my legacy and put my kids in a healthier environment. But what it kind of doused my zeal for leaving so fast was just, I just realized, man, I have more to do here. You know, at the end of the day, you got to pray and move when the Most High says to move. You know, not just because you see this going on, this going on, this going on. You know, you need to have peace. You know, and just understand roles. Some people are supposed to leave and prepare a way for the rest of us who eventually come. Some people, you know, are given more of a zeal to go and they actually establish, like Hebrews to Negroes, Ron Dalton. You over in South Africa, you got Eshawn Burgundy. He's over there in Africa. I've been there for 2 years with his family. You know, you got, you know, Go Black to Africa, shout out on YouTube. You know, he's traveled to half of the amount of countries over there out of 55 countries in Africa. So it's like, you know, you got some of us that are supposed to be over there, prepare a way and do this and that. But some of us still have things that we have to fulfill over in the States. And so whenever that second Exodus happens, it's going to happen, you know, similar to the first one, right? But in a broader, you know, scale where the whole world sees. And, you know, I think it's smart to prepare your home for whatever can happen.
Yeah.
You know, it's good to prepare for things, but at the end of the day, make big moves when the Most High says to move.
Obedience.
You know, don't do it out of worry or, you know, some type of fear at all.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I like that you mentioned that. My thinking is like, just to prepare yourself. There's this one song, I think it's like this old choir, I pray we'll all be ready. And I think that they're talking about, you know, the second coming of the Messiah, but I think about it like
There's
in
a
regards
commission song that goes like that. Be ready
Oh yeah.
when my Jesus comes. Won't you be ready?
That's the one, right?
Yeah. Rick needs to join the choir.
No, stop. That's enough. I quit the choir when I was young.
I bet you did.
You can actually sing, man.
No, stop. Anyways, continue.
Oh yeah. So when to flee Babylon, you know, it all starts with preparedness, and the first thing that we need to be prepared is, you know, in our relationships with the Most High, being filled with the Holy Spirit, like, and being led to actually leave this Babylon, Egypt, Sodom, Gomorrah, you name it, land that we're in. But you got to be prepared spiritually first, because there's going to be, you know, a lot of attacks. So you want to have, you know, just peace about fleeing and leaving. You want to have an action plan. You want to have a serious action plan on what you're going to do. And I like that you mentioned that you still have things to do here in the States. Like, I feel the same way. I don't think that I would be ready to leave until I had, like, you know, a certain amount of money saved up, you know, or like even just accomplishments completed, you know, in regards to my purpose. So like making sure that like that those are completed first before I'm ready to move over there. And also I gotta like build up competencies about myself, like so that like I'm able to support my family and like, you know, be a productive citizen of the community that I moved to. But, you know, when to flee Babylon is when, you know, I think we start to see the plagues and the destruction start to come. Mm-hmm. And once, I don't think everyone's going to go at once. I think there's going to, can't, but like, I think there's going to be large swaths of people going.
I think it could be either or. just based off some verses, but that's
Mhm.
me.
I think reparations might come in that form. Maybe like, okay,
Yeah.
we can't give you reparations like this, but we can aid in your travel in this way, relocation. That could be a form of reparation.
Or we can just bust into all the museums and take it for ourselves.
You're right. That's what we should do.
Yeah. Honestly, do think
Killmonger. That's what we should do.
Oh my gosh.
I do
And
think
I'm not going to Africa. I'm not going to say that, okay? Like, don't quote me, but I'm going to the island. I want to be in the Caribbean.
really.
I would not want to be surrounded by water.
Me neither.
Like there's
not
gonna
landlocked. I would want to be like how Nigeria, Ghana is. Like, you know, like there's an ocean part, there's also a land part.
Yeah, I mean, when you watch the movie 2012, right, or a lot of these movies, they always show Africa as being the last standing continent. Like, these elites know and they put it. So I think these islands aren't going to survive either, to be honest. Like, people are going to have to exodus out of those. There's a verse that talks about when he's going to smite the Red Sea again, or the seven streams.
Mm.
And again, if you don't believe, if you understand that our maps today might not be accurate to what the ancient biblical locations were, then you'll see that the Red Sea ain't what they show it is.
Right now.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
Yeah, those maps are inaccurate. Brandon, show them. No, I'm joking. Brandon is the maps guy. Look up Negro Land. Just look that up.
Yeah.
Just look up Negro Land. Start from there. You
All
know,
right,
but-
Legend. You want to give us some financial news before we hit it?
Oh yeah, before we wrap it up, financial news, yada 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 yada.
Right.
That's basically all that's been going on. Recently, we hear that the government took over First Republic Bank, and we're gonna show the screenshot here. But the largest U.S. bank failures of all time, First Republic is second at $233 billion lost in a failure. Silicon Valley, $209 billion. Signature Bank, $818 billion. And 3 of these have happened in the last 2 months.
Whew.
That's nerve-wracking.
That can't be good.
No, it's not good. It's not good for the overall structure. I mean, you know, a lot of exposure. Even like major banks like Chase, Bank of America, like they were trying to buy First Republic, but they would have owned too much. They basically would have almost had a monopoly on the whole banking system. And I think that's what we're moving towards. So we see those bank failures. We see the yen surpassing the United States dollar in transactions.
Is that how you say it? Yen?
Yen, yeah. Or yuan?
Okay, yuan.
I'm sorry, yuan.
I don't know. I don't know how to say it.
So the yen is Japanese. Yuan is Chinese.
Okay.
So I didn't, like, it says yen, but it's yuan. It's probably yuan. It's okay. So yeah, that's happening. And then China's digital yuan, their central bank digital currency, has over 200 million users
Already.
and they just formed a partnership with WeChat, which is, you know, WhatsApp, and is one of the largest. It's basically kind of like an Amazon, but with communications and everything that the Chinese population uses. They're implementing the digital yuan into their WeChat platform, which is basically going to give everybody access to creating a central bank digital currency account. And I think this ties into the bank failures because we're seeing the United States dollar lose its purchasing power. We're seeing inflation happen really high, and then we're also seeing, you know, this transition towards a new financial system that's digitally based. So that's kind of what's been going on, guys. It's time to get your silver and gold.
Yeah.
Hey, and just so y'all know, this isn't news to put fear into y'all, but it's good to be aware. So, so you can ask the rock to guide you. Do I prepare for this, or do I worry about it at all? Like, at least you know, so now you have the option.
Yeah.
When you don't know, you don't even have the option.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think it's a great chat today. I learned a few things. I know I did. Things I want to think about for this upcoming week. Things that I want to study and read a little bit more on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Likewise, I thought it was a good episode.
Yeah.
I liked our topic of discussion on being set apart in our relationships. I feel like I learned something else. I gotta, you know.
We're still working on that too.
Yeah, working on, you know, going back to the drawing board. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm just trying to implement that stuff into my current, situation. So
Mhm.
feel that.
Yeah, I definitely agree though. Like you said, Brandon, it's really the topics of discussion and conversations. That's what's really changed for me. So.
Yeah, the conversation is
Mhm.
I still be sometimes listening to certain podcasts that has a lot of idle talk.
Mhm.
So I need to wean myself a little bit more of what I allow myself to hear sometimes.
Yeah.
I still like horror movies and stuff. Sometimes I even like to watch gameplay of horror stuff.
Mm.
So I got some things that I still gotta stop feeding myself, but it's a process.
Same. We all have things. We gotta burn our house.
Burn your
Well,
eyes.
guys, I hope y'all have an amazing week, very productive week. And I guess I will see y'all soon.
Yes.
AKA, I'm ready for y'all to get out of my house.
No.
I'm joking. All right, shalom. Income. This is Kingdom Outcast.
Episode 6. Peace.
Deuces.